So like I was talking last week, if you really look at where Ko started out to where he was at by the end of last week's episode, the ladies seem to like him. I mean, he's learning how to be charming. He's kind of has like the sense of charm that he's so oblivious / innocent to so much that it just kind of woos people because it's so adorably innocent. Even with that said, like, how proud I was, like, man, this boy, for being at such an awkward stage in his life, not really understanding romance, feelings, and hormones, all things considered, his future is rather positive for options for him when he does decide to pursue things. And even with that said, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but to see a vampire harem fight over this boy, not only did they start off by saying they were going to kill him, by the end of it, it almost felt like the entire group was so blindsided that this provocative girl, who I thought was just some random girl, like the thrill of the hunt, the little bit of danger of leading people on and then moving on. No, each of these vampires have a different way of selecting their prey, and when they decide, they have a different way of making them fall in love. And this man, so cool, calm, and collectively, in such an oblivious way, just navigated a minefield. And I don't know how he did it. I don't know what truly was going on in his head at certain points. But from casually saying no to just the way he's like, no, I want to go with Nazna. Someone they very much are kind of like saying she sucks because literally she won't suck, she won't turn to anyone, she won't make offspring because she's embarrassed like a little schoolgirl. And to see just that conversation and how it escalated, de-escalated to ended in a way of like, you know what, it doesn't matter if it takes a couple of years. I'm gonna make sure I fall in love with her after they say, just don't take too long to do it because otherwise we might have to reevaluate what we're gonna do here. Just to see these two both separated with conversations with these vampires / seeing them together, it's basically impossible for these girls to not say, the person who has caused us so much trouble, Nazna, won't make offspring, can't talk about love. Apparently that's what these vampires do. They talk about their romance, they talk about their prey, their offspring, and she won't do that. She's essentially like a failure to the vampire name. And then you talk with a human who, for the first time, avoided every single thing that has lured males to them. And the fact of the matter is, this innocent boy is just as dense and clueless as this innocent vampire. And how the hell do they not come out of that situation saying, these two doorknobs deserve each other? And it is absolutely hilariously wholesome, if not violent. Like, the animation in the fight scene went hard. You knew immediately Nazna was going to come in to stop the blood sucking. I just wasn't expecting it to go quite as hard, from literally cutting her arm off to then just, it was a very badass fight. The pink tone to the overall scene I thought was a beautiful touch to really add a sense of erotic nature, such as like literally we know what the blood sucking does and how it feels for these characters, but also it kind of covers up the more brutality moments in terms of literally someone picking up their severed arm and attaching it again. It was just badass, man. And I have to go as far to say this is probably my favorite Call of the Night episode to date, just because it had the most charming things about it. It had so many fun personalities. Each of them felt like a different type of seductive vampire, and immediately after talking with one or two of them, you could tell how different Nazna was. And I love the fact that the way she goes about her romance in comparison to, there's all these tactical plays. Sit across from the person, make eye contact, that will let you move in. The way, one will kind of wrap her arm around and basically make it seem like they're very similar. Everything that they were saying about how they lure their prey is completely believable. Real things that would really work for someone trying to attach to someone, whether physically, romantically, or in this case, being a vampire. But I love the fact that for him, he's just like, yeah, I mean, we got a pretty simple agreement. She likes the taste of my blood. I want to be a vampire. That's all it is. Okay, but where's the romance? He'll just naturally turn into a vampire once he falls in love. Just the mutual agreement and the shotgun marriage, as she refers to it, it is hilarious to see the difference in just how out of place Nazna really is in the vampire world, which you knew there had to be more vampires, as otherwise how did she get turned? I guess I wasn't quite expecting to see as many as we did, and it was such a beautiful moment because even knowing a vampire harem, essentially. You have like 4 different hotties trying to turn you into their species. Hell, his entire goal was to turn into it, right? But there's no way this man can fall in love because just look at how he responds to everything. He just doesn't get it, and he is a wall. Brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. But I think even knowing the vampires are in this episode, the way they acted, each of them with this very distinct personality and in a different world, you could see this show following any one of these vampires and have it be an enjoyable watch. But following Nauta of all characters is very just emotionally dense, flustered little girl who is so mature in so many different ways, as you have this dude who just doesn't know what he's doing. This kid's just trying to figure out what romance is at an awkward stage in his life, and literally it would probably take him 5 years to figure things out more than likely. But it's great because I think an episode like this really paints like it is mutual, and we've known that, right? We've known that both are kind of starting to develop feelings. Nauta is developing feelings a lot faster, it feels like, given the amount of blushing and the amount of like, holy shit, she'll destroy a continent if you say she's in love. Where this boy is still trying to figure out what it means to be in love, but very much knows he wants to be next to her. Just that mutual agreement is so fantastic, and it was so fun seeing a bunch of different characters both getting an action sequence, getting some great dialogue, and just separating these two, and how he never flinches, he never changes how he is. Like, if he was going to die in that moment, and, you know, essentially fangs were pointing towards his neck, still, he didn't change his tune, he didn't try to bluff out. Like, that is the real Ko, and he is a wild card. I remember in the earlier episodes, I saw a lot of people say, like, Ko's a kind of boring personality, not that fun of a character to follow, but they like the visuals, they like Nauta. But I always was a fan of the way he was presented and the kind of like exploration of his character. But I have to say, over the last 3 or 4 episodes, I really feel like his personality has broken through, and the way he just so dumbfounds everyone around him / interacts with this world. Like, the fact of the matter is, when he gets his soda stolen, right? It's not really about like the flusterness. Like, yeah, he gets a little flustered and he stares at her chest. But the big thing for him isn't that this girl's leading him down a dark alley. He just wants his soda back, and she already drank it, as then she lashes out. The way he is so clueless about things and doesn't realize what's happening until it's too late, and even when it's too late, he still hasn't fully clued in, it's glorious, and I really like his personality and how he bounces off the numerous characters we've met, and how even previous interactions, as seen by the very beginning of this episode, come back into play in a simple way of just saying, thank you. You turned my dead-end job that made me want to jump off a building into something that I can tackle with a smile on my face anymore. Absolutely incredible episode. Like I said, probably my favorite Call of the Night episode to date. I think this was a good moment to introduce some more characters, spice up the cast, while still making the main theme and focal point, obviously, on this building romance. But I think the biggest takeaway isn't that they're both in love and eventually he probably will become an offspring of Nauta. Rather, it's going to take a hell of a long time, and I think longer than maybe even we can realize, given, I think, the reactions from some of these vampires. But brilliant, brilliant episode. I think this episode, personally, for me, just takes it a little bit higher in terms of quality of what we've already seen, but very excited for more. Thoughts and feelings down below. Favorite new vampire, if you do got one, let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.